We're live. You guys ready? One minute. Okay, here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. My name is John. I'm joined here with Tess and Paul from PTZOptics. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Good,
good.
thank you. Happy to be here.
So it is officially the new year. Welcome to our pre-show podcast for the PTZOptics show. Today, we're going to be talking about a new sneak peek into our Move 4K new firmware. So before we jump into it and dive deep into all our great features, I wanted to have a little chat with Paul and Tess here and go over...
Chat?
Yeah, just a little chat, have a little conversation about one, how was your 2023 and 2024 in the future? So, is there anything specifically that you guys learned from 2023, goals that you set out for in the beginning of the year that you kind of accomplished or are now trying to accomplish in 2024?
That's a great question. A little goal that I've set for, I know Paul's with the writing.
Yeah.
So that's a big one that I've started to take on myself is journaling,
good.
but thanks to you giving me the journal. But also one mantra I give to myself a day is what's one thing I could do to better the organization in that work day, that day.
Sure.
And try and guide my whole day on that process, or at least if I've accomplished one core thing that betters the organization, then I've done my part for that day.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Paul?
That's amazing. And Tess mentioned the journaling. I've been doing a lot of writing and trying to be more organized with my notes because we get a lot of great ideas for our products, a lot of great ideas for collaborations and working with influencers and doing events. And there's way too many things to do in a day. So I've just tried to be very organized and detailed with my notes. And I even got Tess a journal to help her as well. And I hope that more people do it because we only live once. There's only so many hours in the day. And I've become more organized in the past year.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about writing and how, your memory, I think, clicks in better. You remember things when you write them down more. So I think that's a great tool to use. Every morning you write something down, like in a goal, if you're trying to accomplish something, or maybe your full year goals. It really kind of pushes you and motivates you. It's been quite a crazy year for me. I mean, I started here, a new job for me. It's crazy. It's been great working with both of you guys here and joining the great community at home as well. And I got engaged this year. I bought a house this year. It's been a lot of change for me in 2023. So now we're here in 2024. So kind of like switching it over to PTZOptics, what do you imagine are some of the major milestones from the past year? Obviously, we launched a bunch of new products, but what do you think overall our major milestones of 2023 were?
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head with mentioning the new products. We launched a complete brand new line, which was my first time here launching an actual line of products. In my whole time here, we've been focused so heavily on our second generation cameras that this was my first time being involved in a brand new launch of a whole series of products. So that was really fun and interesting to explore from a professional standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. We worked on the Gen 2 cameras for over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just shows you when we go to the Move SE and the Move 4K, technology does move faster, but we need a good 3 to 5 years to really build on that platform. And so into 2023 and then definitely moving into 2024, it's really exciting to see the building blocks that the engineers build on top of. As many of our customers know, the new Move SE and Move 4K cameras have computer vision chips built in, and that's what allows them to do the built-in auto tracking. But that's really just the tip of, it's very, very effective, awesome feature for a lot of people, but it's kind of the tip of the iceberg with what's capable with computer vision. So it's interesting going into 2024, seeing these foundational blocks that we'll be showing today on the live stream, then it's like, oh, if you can finally do this, it unlocks these things. So I think 2024 is going to be a year of unlocks where the engineers put in, at this point, a full year of work into the Move SE and Move 4K, even though we didn't trickle out a whole bunch of small firmware updates. We're doing one big one. But this one is very much a building block firmware release that is going to unlock so much in the future.
Sure. What about like some of the maybe challenges that you experienced in 2023, either personally, Tess, or for PTZOptics for you, Paul? Things that you learned maybe from not even a mistake, but just something that we could improve on, something that we learned from the industry that now in 2024 we can kind of carry on with.
Well, personally, this is kind of professional, but taking on the manager role, the management role is different from has been different for me, and managing people is something new that I've taken on for my job. So personally, that's been an interesting challenge for me this year. And into 2024, I'm really hoping to finesse my role with the people management. So that's something that's, been a challenge.
Sure. What about for you, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, Tess and I both work really closely together, but it's kind of yin and yang in that situation because Tess is taking on more responsibilities, and we've grown our organization. We have over 70 employees now, and so for me, it's actually been a little bit of the reverse, where it's been relinquishing responsibilities and trying to teach people what I've learned and allow others to grow. So almost the reverse, where I'm trying to allow others to grow into those spaces. And, there's certain things that I like about my job that I selfishly want to keep some responsibilities, but have to realize, like, I'm not at ISE right now in Barcelona. We're letting the appropriate people go there. And so that's been a learning, a little bit of a challenge, because you have to let go of things. Letting go can be just as challenging as taking something new on sometimes. So kind of yin and yang there with you and I, Tess.
Yeah, definitely. Isaac here is saying it's funny because he's running an event today using 3 Move 4K cameras and a Super Joy.
Oh, nice.
Good luck on your event, Isaac.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
That's great. And I think that's a perfect time to talk about our customer base. We get a lot of feedback. We're very open with our customers, and we have open forums on Facebook, our community groups, and many places that you can kind of communicate with us or our support team. So I'm curious, like, if you learned anything from our customer base, if they were, providing us for new features for our cameras, or just generally anything that we learned from our PTZOptics customers. Tess, we'll start with you.
You'll start with me? Okay. We learn everything from our customers. Everything that we implement into our cameras starts with our customers' needs and wants. And we've created a really nice space online with our online forums, our knowledge base, and our Facebook user groups where we can communicate with our customers and get that feedback from them.
Yeah, we did transition between social media managers at one point, which was a little bit of a challenging moment that I think lasted a month or two because... And the reason why we learn so much from our customers is because every week you're there, John, Tess, and I, the whole marketing team is meeting with the product team, and we're presenting what we're seeing in the user groups. And so today, I think, is going to be a very revealing moment where if you don't feel like we listen to you guys, you will see in the firmware 10 different features we're going to show today. Every single one of them came from the user groups, came from our customer requests. So I could go down the list, but we're going to save that for the show today. I think we use these cameras all the time. We're in our studio. We use these quite a lot, but we're not using them all the time exactly the same as our customers. Now, every Sunday I'm watching the stream at my church, and we're using PTZOptics cameras there, and so firsthand I do get to see some of it. But some of our customers are in very much demanding situations, and so it's great in the user group to see everything from dating shows to cooking shows.
Yeah, absolutely. There's such a wide gamut of things. And Tess, you hired 3 people this year for the company. That was a big kind of step for you as well.
Our team has grown extensively.
Yeah.
That's been both a challenge and a gift as well to our team. And we've been able to accomplish a lot more having these new teammates. You're one of them, John. And an absolute joy to have you.
You've been a great manager, and Paul, you've been super supportive. It's been really great, like joining the team and watching us kind of like grow and adjust with new people
And joining the show. How has that been, becoming on-air talent?
It's been fun. It was really nervous the first couple times. I think like the more I do it, the more I'm not as nervous.
Yeah, totally.
Were you guys like
Yeah.
really nervous the first time you did it? Because you guys have streamed so much. You used to stream weekly over and over. At this point, you probably don't get nervous at all, right?
I would be more nervous about not being on camera, but how was it received?
Yeah,
Did
after
we-
the show.
What
Yeah.
was the message? Are we doing this too much? Do we need to slow down?
You're
Can we
thinking
keep
big
up
picture,
with
yeah.
these things?
Yeah.
Less worried about if my hair looked right or what I actually said. So more about how it was being received.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Tess? Do you get nervous anymore for the big shows?
I was nervous for StreamGeeks Summit because I had a panel. So I was nervous for
yeah.
that. But
Mhm.
typically, like on the regular shows, I don't get nervous as long as like we were really prepared today. As long as we come prepared, I feel ready to go.
Sure. Yeah. And you mentioned the summit. We have the Worship Summit Live coming on February 28th. So look out for that. That's coming soon. And something else that's coming soon, we might have a tiny little sneak peek at a new product. So generally, is there anything that we can kind of look forward to from PTZOptics, HuddleCam HD, anything in the future that we could maybe get a little sneak peek at today?
I think so, Paul.
Yeah. So there is a brand new product that our team is showing at ISE from our sister company, HuddleCam HD. I think we were going to cut to that for just a moment. We're going to be talking a lot about auto tracking today. And I wanted to just briefly show the SimpleTrack 3, which is the predecessor to, or the newer version of the SimpleTrack 2. And this is a dual sensor auto tracking camera. And if we have a moment, I'll just explain. The Move 4K and the Move SE are single sensor auto tracking cameras, and they do an amazing job of tracking. We're going to show it off today, and they're absolutely amazing. But the SimpleTrack 3 has two sensors. And I think if we have time at the end of the show, we might show the software. But what that allows you to do is get two video feeds, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
But the wide angle reference camera has technology built in so that you can kind of have different preset zones. So when someone walks into a specific area, you can trigger certain events.
Sure.
You can have blocking zones, tracking zones. So it's really exciting what the SimpleTrack 3 is capable of. And I do think in more demanding educational scenarios where auto tracking has to be set and forget and there's not a producer,
Mm.
the dual sensor tracking cameras tend to shine. And so if we have time, we'll look at that in more detail.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a new camera coming from HuddleCam HD, the SimpleTrack 3. Like Paul mentioned, it's similar to the SimpleTrack 2, but obviously bigger and better, filled with great features and cheaper than ever. And what you'll see with the SimpleTrack 3 are three specific zones. You have the tracking zone or the tracking area where you pick how far side to side of the zone that you would like to track somebody. You also have a preset zone, which is a zone where you step into. Anyone that is kind of moving into that zone will trigger a preset, whether that's turning on a light, triggering something maybe in vMix, switching a camera shot to that exact location of the preset. And then finally, you have the blocking zone, which is areas like a whiteboard, areas like a TV screen that you don't want to have tracking enabled for. So if a teacher goes up to a board, you don't want them to kind of lose the tracking because of the boards in the way or behind them. You're going to have a distinction and know when to stop tracking. So you're getting a lot of fine tuning when it comes to the SimpleTrack 3, and we'll talk a lot more about that in the future. But I want to open up wider and broader and talk a lot about the future of live streaming, broadcasting, and just technology. So I'm curious, we'll start with you, Tess. What do you think the future looks like for the broadcast live streaming industry?
I think we're going to continue to see a lot of growth this year. I'm very excited in particular for NAB to talk about new technology that's coming out there, not only from ourselves, but from other organizations. Remote production is a big one that I've seen, and I'm interested to see what happens there this year.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, very excited for NAB. In fact, Tess and I were asked to live stream and host the official NAB show live stream
So
with the
excited
NAB
for
team, which
that.
is always so much fun. Ryan Salazar from Broadcast Beat. And what that does for us, because Tess and I, many shows have been stuck at our booth, which is not a big deal. We like that. Talking
love
to our
seeing
customers and seeing everyone. It's the kind of where people expect us to be. But hosting this official NAB show live stream, we go on like a rampage tour of going from this booth to this booth to this booth, booths that you maybe wouldn't stop by.
Right.
So we'll definitely, I'm looking forward to that. I think if 2023 was the year of kind of like AI, 2024 will be the year of like real customized applications that were designed for the broadcast industry or different use cases. So ChatGPT is amazing. How can that back end tech be applied to, script writing and things of that nature that really
Sure.
apply to industries more specifically?
Yeah. I would love to hear more about, your hosting gig that you guys have coming up, because when I went to NAB with you in New York, I felt like I was a mini videographer following you from booth to booth, going over cool tech, like Magewell and Blackmagic, all these cool little gadgets that we saw there. So is that really what it is? So you're going from kind of booth to booth, interviewing people, talking about the products that are at each booth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're interviewing industry leaders that are represented at different companies at NAB. So it's not just limited to our friends or anything like that either. It's a large group of different companies that we visit. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we just ask them questions about what the new gear is that they're bringing to the show and what they want to share with us.
Does that inspire you, Paul, to see new things in the industry, to learn about what's coming or how we can kind of change internally?
I like it a lot. And one of the things Tess and I really like is that there's a team with us. So there's a video person, there's an audio person, there's a makeup person, there's a person on comms. So Tess and I just have to show up. We just show up, and then they give us a little ear monitor too.
Inner ear monitors. It's so cool.
They can talk to us and be like, "Hey, Ryan Brenneman from Maryland has a question for you," and they whisper it into your ear. So it's another level of high end production that's on the go, on the fly, live, and it's really interesting.
Shout out Ryan Brenneman.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to see you guys there, and I can't wait to watch you guys host. That's so exciting. So we talked a little bit about our customer base, how we learn from them. I'm curious, in the future now in 2024, how are we going to continue to kind of stay connected with our community? How are we going to kind of invite them in and have us kind of learn together, have us provided with feedback, and they get to get great new features? So how do we kind of keep that relationship going? We'll start with you, Tess.
I think with the forums that we already have established, we have an open line of communication with our audience. So just continuing to support them on our user groups on Facebook, on our knowledge base online, and then getting out to these shows and shaking hands and chatting with everybody face to face too.
Yeah, we have a lot of layers of opportunities. One is our sales team, right? We have East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, international, internal, external. We've got multiple. We're growing our sales team, so there's opportunities to get live demonstrations and demo units and things of that nature. On the support side, of course, many of people know we have an amazing support team that is a lifetime support. If you're a PTZOptics customer, our cameras have a 5-year warranty, but they will support you for life, even if, and they go as far as supporting with OBS, Wirecast, the things that the cameras are connected to, even beyond the product, which is great. And we're very proud of that. But then also the marketing team, give me a shout out if you've ever commented on a YouTube video. We respond to those.
Yeah.
We have an internal
Shout out
channel,
Michael too.
and Michael, our producer, will get the answer. And that's an amazing learning process for our team. It really shows how connected everybody is, because everybody is chiming in. Oh, if they have this question, this is the answer. So literally try it out for yourself. Comment on any of the 500 or however many videos we have. Just comment on one of them. And I don't know if it will surprise you or not, but we will respond.
Yeah. I've been in many meetings with you guys and with the product team. And as soon as there is a question that we can't answer, that we're having trouble with, we present it to them, whether they can answer it, whether it's a product feature request that you might have. We always present it to our product team. We always consider it, and we always pass it down the line. So we value that communication, and it's kind of essential here at the company. So I want to talk about even broader and talk about tech and like what you're excited about in 2024. And it doesn't even have to be AV. It could be live streaming. It could be outside of, it could be audio. I don't really care. I will focus on my obsession right now has been the Apple Vision Pro, which is their VR headset. It's like $3,500. It's ridiculous. I think what we're looking at is a product that not a lot of people need and not a lot of people are going to really understand just yet. But I think what we're looking at is like the first iPhone, where a lot of people are like, that's cool, but I have my BlackBerry. I don't need it. I play my games. I watch my VR video on like, the Oculus Rift or something like that. I think when we get to like the third iteration, the fourth iteration, we're going to see really businesses buying into this and maybe buying it for their company. Instead of buying computers, they're buying VR headsets for people to edit in, to people to communicate and work with each other. I think it's like the start of that technology. So is there anything that jumps out to you in 2024, whether it's like AI? I know you love OpenAI, Paul, and all the AI tools that you can get. Or what about you, Tess? Anything jump out to you?
For 2024?
Yeah, or just new technology, anything that's coming up in your kind of vision here?
Well, I know we have some exciting technology that we can't really talk about today that's coming out. So that excites me.
Definitely, yeah.
So there's definitely some things to look forward to this year.
Yeah, I mean, the cloud is really, really interesting because basically a PTZ camera that's connected to the network is essentially an edge device, meaning it's not on the internet, it's at the edge of the internet. It's at the edge of your network and the public network or the wide area network, the WAN. So there's the LAN, which is the local area network, and the WAN. And this area that's called the edge is a very interesting area. So imagine every PTZOptics camera is at the edge of the internet, and all you need is a cloud solution to connect them all, mix them all, produce them all, stream them all, remotely control them, color match them. So that is very interesting to me. It's the cloud combined with edge devices, and I feel like so many of us have been talking about IP, getting IP connected, and we're looking at IP joysticks and IP cameras and IP video encoders, and all of that technology has been out for, I remember when NDI was released, I believe it was 2017. So we're talking about 7 years ago. And now that technology has been shipping for so long, the cloud is really, and then once you get to the cloud, then, immediate connection to APIs with a million things. AI is just one of them.
Yeah.
So like, I know the cloud is a big term, but I think the broadcast industry, the streaming industry, Pro AV is very ready for a migration to the cloud.
Yeah, that seems to be what we've kind of envisioned, right? We had the G2 and we worked for many years to improve it with updates. And now we have these new iteration of cameras that are like power over Ethernet. Really simple. You can just plug them in, boom, connect them to the internet, and you're connected to like our CMP platform, for instance. So is that kind of how you envision the future? We're becoming less tied down with wires. Everything is really about the internet, utilizing the internet. Should we be concerned about like overuse of the internet, or how we're going to have this much data, whether we're like spreading this too thin? Like, do we need so many endless? I know it's such a broad, big question, but how do we balance all of these things, right? Like, we have so much going on with our Wi-Fi connections, so many devices over and over. I wonder like how we kind of like juggle all of these things, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a simplified solution to have all of these in one platform. And I think that's where we're going, right? Everything's becoming so digital. It's kind of like essential to stay up to that kind of platform and that kind of level. So yeah, anything else do you guys see? Any other tech that you kind of see in the future that like inspires you, or that you kind of think about like, wow, that would be great to have in the future one day?
That's a hard question. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I'm so excited about AI. I mean, the fact that you can just chat with it is amazing. And so I think that what's going on with AI, that it's gotten to the point of being conversational, that it is not far fetched to think that this year, if not next year, you could say, hey, get my cameras on stage 2 and just speak to it, or just get ideas. Hey, I've got 5 PTZOptics cameras. Set up all my presets for me and run through them and let me know what your idea
Or
is, like
test
just
them.
automating things that might take a couple hours. And when you do that, it's not the fact that, oh, the AI just set up my presets for me. That's not the big deal. What it is, oh, now I can just sit here and just run through 3 or 4 scenarios and pick the one that I like.
Sure.
Because sometimes just coming up with the ideas and setting up everything is so exhausting that you only ever try one scenario. It's the one you came up with, right?
Yeah.
I've got 5 presets and that's what I'm running with. Whereas if it's so simplified that the AI can do it for you in a conversational manner, the cognitive load goes down and then the creativity goes up.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like giving you options, and then you are still the decision maker. You decide what you want to go with and how you envision that choice, but it's AI is that tool that helps you kind of get to that final decision. I think there's one thing that people don't talk about when it comes to like open AI specifically, and AI in that regard is that you can obviously integrate images, but it's free of advertisement right now. You know, when you use ChatGPT 4, 3.5, whatever it is, you're not like inundated with constant advertisements. There's not constant images popping up at you, GIFs playing. Like there's something so nice about a simplified platform that's just text. You enter in what you want, it spits out text, and you're like, that's great, right? There's no distracting things going on in the page. I like don't want to use Google nowadays because it's so distracting, and the first 5 things it recommends are just paid advertisements. So I feel like we're in the early ground where advertisements are going to come to OpenAI. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I imagine in the future they need that kind of money, right? They need that ad revenue. I think when you look at like things like Netflix, they opened their ad tier plan for years and years. Netflix said we were never going to put ads on our platform, and they changed that. So the market constantly shifts and it's ongoing, and things are constantly changing. But that is one of the reasons like no one talks about that. You know, it's mainly text only, and that's all you really have. And there's something simplistic about that. You know, there's less distractions when you go and talk to an AI bot in that way. So we have a little bit of time here. We have 5 minutes, Paul. Do we want to look at the SimpleTrack software? Do you want to wait for the show? Do you want to dive anything else on the UI there?
We certainly can. And I have it available for a screen capture if we want. I'd rather ask the audience if that's what they're interested in, because I know you have some New Year's goals questions to ask as well.
Yeah. Sure.
But if the audience would like to see the software behind the SimpleTrack 3, I'm happy to show it, and I am prepared for that.
Yeah.
James says, work like a director by speaking the commands instead of pressing the buttons, and have the AI predict when people will be moving.
Yep. Which
Yeah.
it's already very good at, the
We're
auto
already
tracking.
there, yeah. That's a great call to the audience. Let me know what you're excited for. You know, the future of technology. I feel like we're right here. We're on the edge of it with AI. And we're going to have so many more tools constantly coming. I mean, even when you look at like GPT tools and how specific you can get with some of these chatbots, it's kind of incredible. And I feel like we're so early on. When I mentioned the advertisements, we're also early on with cost. Like it feels like it should be more expensive. When we're using OpenAI, it just feels like it's too cheap for what it's giving you, right?
I agree with that. Yeah. And I think they might be subsidizing the pricing. In fact, it's free if you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you just want to simply log in. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else? Like maybe I haven't really asked you many personal questions, Paul, but do you have any goals like besides writing that you wanted to achieve this year? Is there like something fitness related or something like overall for you that you want to achieve in 2024?
Well, fitness related, I am taking my health a lot more seriously
You
this
have
year.
been.
And there was no reason, there was no like doctor's note or anything. I just decided this year that this is a big year for my health. Both spiritually and physically, and just self-care and self-health. Not that I've been neglecting it significantly, but I do feel very excited about coming in every day super as healthy as I possibly can be. So that's something personally that I'm doing. Yeah. And you mentioned that. I guess maybe you could notice a little bit, but I'm like out there taking a 20-minute walk or something in between meetings because I'm prioritizing that.
Definitely. Yeah. There's been times throughout the day where you're like, did you know that if you write down, you're giving me like little advice for how to live a happier, healthier life. And I kind of love it. It's great. I love little insider bits like that. It's great.
We've
Tess.
got a question coming in from the chat really quick.
Yeah. What do we see?
Is there a way to enable auto tracking with Bit Focus Companion? I've tried using HTTP and I've not been successful.
There should be a
Bit
way
Focus
to do
Companion.
that. And by the way, if you're using Bitfocus Companion and HTTP commands, you should be using the brand new G3 HTTP commands. So that was recently published.
Right.
I don't know how long ago, maybe less than a month ago. So check the brand new documentation in our developer portal.
Yep, that's PTZOptics.com.
And by the way, John,
Portal.
I guess we could mention quickly, if you're doing something cool with the HTTP commands,
Yeah.
we're having a brand new giveaway. Maybe you could tell us about that, John. We've got a
Absolutely.
minute.
Yeah, we have a minute left, so I can dive deep. We're doing a mini giveaway. We'll have some more information on the actual live show when it starts. So as Paul mentioned, our G3 iteration of our camera. So first it's going to come to the Move 4K, which you can have access to right away, right now. And if you go to ptzoptics.com/developer-portal, you will get to the landing page where you can find that API. So essentially what we're going to do is a little giveaway contest. We're going to be giving away a Move SE camera for the person that develops the best tool, I'll say broadly. So we're offering these API controls now and commands. You have 10 times more commands than you've ever had before with our API to the Move 4K camera specifically. So we're throwing that open and we're presenting it wide to anyone and everyone who has a Move 4K camera that wants to develop a tool around our API. So that could be calling, presets that you have in your switcher like OBS or vMix, or it could just be your own tool that you use to integrate with the Move 4K camera. So that giveaway is going to last 2 whole months. Like I said, on February 28th, we have the Worcester Summit Live, and then our follow-up stream will be in March. So March 27th, I believe, is the date, and we will announce the winner for our API G3 giveaway. So quick summation, March 27th is the final day that you have. So you have about 2 months now, and it's for whoever creates the best tool with our G3 API, and specifically for the Move 4K.
And I shared the link to enter that giveaway in the chat. So thank you for that.
All right, everybody hit the like button before we start this
And
stream.
subscribe.
It's time to go.
See you soon.
Okay, here we go.
Hello and welcome to PTZ Optics Live. Today we are showing a sneak peek of the new Move 4K firmware, which has at least 10 new game-changing features. We're going to go over them one after the next, after Tess introduces some of our latest updates.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Going to stand up here. We're going to start auto tracking.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me start the auto track.
Don't forget about the auto track.
All right, let's start the auto track here.
I'll sit down.
Just give me 1 second here and we'll select you. And I'm going to put you on the right side of the screen.
Please do.
So let me click a button here and I will go ahead and let you get started.
Thank you. We have a couple squares that we're going to share with you today, some updates that we have for you. Coming soon, we have brand new firmware for the Move 4K camera. So we're so excited to share that with you today. You're going to get a sneak peek at all of the features, just like this composition framing that we're talking about here with auto tracking, focus, and zoom options, as well as unique subject tracking and auto framing. So a lot of cool features we're going to be sharing with you today. with our new firmware. And I give you guys a little bit of a taste of how this composition tracking looks here. We're also going to be teasing a brand new camera. If you caught us on the pre-show podcast, we were talking about the Simple Track 3, our brand new auto tracking camera. It's a dual sensor auto tracking camera with the HuddleCam HD brand. And we're going to tease that today too. So excited about that one. Also, we have a giveaway that John just so lovingly explained to us. We're going to share that in the description of YouTube today if you want to catch that. Down there, we're going to be doing a giveaway of the Move SE camera. If you sign up, you can submit an API G3, your own API tool. Whoever got the best tool will win that giveaway. So pretty exciting stuff there. That will be announced, was it March 28th?
27th.
27th. March 27th for that giveaway. Also, StreamGeeks has a newsletter coming soon. How can we sign up for the newsletter, though? Did we create a page for that?
Description.
There's a link in the description. Thank you, Paul, for including that there. If you want to sign up to receive updates from StreamGeeks and our team, sign up for that newsletter at the link in the description of the YouTube live stream. Finally, we have Worship Summit Live 5 coming out, where we bring together leaders in the worship streaming and audio-visual production space to share their insights with you. That's going to be on February 28th. If you want to register for that, I'll put that in the chat, or you can check out the link in the description. That's all I have for my updates, and I will head back to the couch here. And if you want to learn how that composition tracking works, we will share that with you guys in just a few moments.
All right. So that worked out pretty well. One of the things we just did there was that we had the auto tracking set up. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we were zooming in and out a little bit during the auto tracking, and we were using a brand new composition feature that I believe we're going to jump right into right now.
Let's do it.
Cool. So let's do it. So there's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. There's 10 new features we're going to be looking at is going to have to do with auto tracking. So the first thing we're going to show today is unique subject tracking. This is a really cool feature. And what this does, and the best way to show this is on our setup here in the bounding boxes here. Now, this is for the Move 4K. I already saw we're getting requests for the Move SE. The Move 4K and the Move SE are different lines. So they will have slightly different features. And so we're only going over the Move 4K today. Some of these features have crossover. So some of the things we're going to show today are available on the Move SE. Some of the things are just for the Move 4K. So I'll try to be specific in what is for the Move 4K. The Move 4K is our best camera, and it does have more processing power than the Move SE. It's a stronger processing capability. So it can do some of these things like multi-target select. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about being able to select a specific person through the web UI. So I'm going to zoom into the web UI quickly to give you a quick look at this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this allows you to select a specific person on the screen. So you can see here that it's seeing all three of us here, and each of us have a number. I'll zoom in even closer so you can see this. Each of us have a number all over us. And so Tess has a number, I have a number, John has a number, and all I have to do is, there's a couple options actually. If I zoom out here, I can show you that Tess's color, is that like a darker red? I'm colorblind.
Yes. Darker
It's
red.
like a darker red
it's a
around
dark
Tess.
Yep.
And
Oh,
so
my dress.
one thing you can
as well.
do, if there's a lot of people on the screen, you can actually just right click and go through them and select the person you want by clicking the home button there. Or if there's a whole bunch of people on the screen, you can actually just click the number that you want. So Tess is number 2. Oh, John's number 3. You want to go, John? All right, we'll click number 3 for John. And now it's tracking John. Now you'll notice here that I have composition right. Okay, so John will always be put in the right side of the screen. And I have something called dynamic zoom on. And what that allows me to do is to zoom in as much as I want in this frame. So full control over zoom and you let the camera do the pan and tilt. So what I'd like to do is I want to change the tracking composition to center. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK there. I think our presentation will do just a hair better with you centered there, John. And I just want to show that we can zoom this in as much as we want to get a really nice head and shoulders shot here. John can go ahead and try to fake the camera out. Even when it's zoomed in this closely, it does a really good job of tracking. You can see there that it is not going to lose John. You can be pretty sporadic up on stage, even if you're a dancer or a performer. This camera performs really well. So one of the things we wanted to show here is this gives you the capability of having two PTZ cameras, and those two cameras that Mike was showing there is actually what we're going to show. You can set up one camera to track a head and shoulders shot, and then another camera to track maybe like a full body shot. So this is really powerful for automating your productions. And this is a major update to the Move 4K platform, because before this, you were really kind of stuck with the pan, tilt, and zoom settings that were available. Now we have the ability to, if we go through these settings here, we have the ability to do auto tracking. We have the ability to do auto framing, which we'll look at in a moment. And that is great for a group of people. If there's multiple people on stage, it will just zoom into all of them and make sure everyone's in view the whole time, which is really cool. We'll show that in a minute. We have those tracking compositions that we showed off multiple times today. Tess was on the right side of the screen, allowing for graphics and overlays on the other side. We have tracking sensitivity, which John prefers the low sensitivity. And so we maybe at a certain point we'll show these off.
Yeah. So it just changes how fast it reacts to the movements of the subject.
So that's a cool feature there. Depending on, if you're in education, for example. Oh, we're getting a great question from Adrian, and I am ready. I want to show this off, Mike. So the square is only visible in the web app. Yes, it is. And I would very much like to show that, Mike, by doing a side-by-side screen of the output of the camera and the web app. Because this is important, and Adrian just asked a great question. Okay, so if I hit stop tracking.
Yeah, Adrian.
Thank you for that question, Adrian. If I hit stop tracking, okay, it's going to stop tracking on the web UI, but we did not see that on the output. So I'm going to do this again really quickly. I'm going to turn on multi-target select so we can look at this in this mode here. And right now we'll go to auto tracking, multi-target select, hit apply. And what's going to happen here is we're going to see, okay, so the start auto tracking did show up on the screen. So we'll show how to remove that.
Yep.
Right now what we're seeing is the boxes over Tess and John, and we can go over them, but it's not showing on the output.
There's the UI. Nothing on the output.
Now, what I want to do though is I'm going to turn tracking off real quick, because I want to show really quickly how we can turn off the output options in the setup menu here.
Yep. So you might see the big black menu pop up. What Paul's going to do is go into the settings, and he's going to go into the setup and change the menu so you don't see that pop-up menu. So some people like to see that, whether they're using the IR remote or the UI interface here. But you can easily turn that off. So whenever you want to go in and directly just never see that menu pop up if you're changing tracking or anything like that, you can disable that here. And he's going to go down to that display info.
Display info needs to, now it's on by default so that you are capable of, seeing everything that the camera's doing, but you turn that display info off. And now when we do our side by side, let's do our side by side again here. I'm going to go ahead and turn auto tracking on. Okay. So in the web app only, we're seeing the selection of John and Tess. I'm going to go ahead and select Tess this time. Now, I could either move to her with the with that. Or I can select the number that is above her. So I'll select 1. And you'll notice that start tracking did not show up
Should I get
on
up?
the output. Oh, you can. You don't have to. And then when I hit stop tracking, all right, we'll let you do tracking for a sec, Tess, because let's show off the sensitivity changes. So this is on high sensitivity right now. And by the way, this is on dynamic zoom. So I have the ability to zoom in while it's auto tracking. Now, we should tell you that the more you zoom in, the more likely that you could potentially lose the subject. So I'm going to zoom in a little more because these cameras do really well even when we're very much zoomed in.
So as Paul mentioned, there's the dynamic mode, which you can control zoom in and out manually with a controller, your UI interface, any controller you'd like. There's the close-up for the closest, tightest angle, a medium, and the long shot, which aims to get your full body into frame.
Okay. So hopefully that was a good demo there. And then when I hit stop tracking, tracking turns off. No overlay comes up on the screen. And now you'll notice down here, if I show this track now, I'm kind of jumping around here, but in the track now area, you notice that the camera can just stayed where it was when we turned tracking off. You can decide where you want the camera to go at start and stop of auto tracking turning on and off. All right. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. So we showed the unique subject tracking. We showed the composition and framing, and we also showed some of the auto zoom modes.
Would you like to show her side by side in different zoom modes?
Yeah,
Can you get
why
a
don't we
chance
do
to
that?
show that?
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to show a 30x Move 4K tracking what we would call like a medium shot. And then we will do a 20x Move 4K camera tracking, which I'll set up now as well. So it looks like Mike is getting the 30x camera to start tracking tests. And I'm going to go ahead and get the 20x camera tracking tests. And then we're going to show them side by side because this is a pretty interesting feature for certain productions where, okay, so Mike's going to have to go ahead and click in that 30x to get rid of that bounding box. There we go. All right. So now what we're showing is a side-by-side view. This is a really nice way to have a completely automated auto tracking situation where you've got head and shoulders tracking of a subject, and then you have a more zoomed in shot of someone also tracking. So this is great, right? You could have two PTZOptics Move 4K 20Xs or two 30Xs. This is a 30X and a 20X. Mike's showing them nicely there. And the great thing is here is that we can very easily have these cameras. Sorry, I was playing with the focus there. There we go.
Yeah, so this works in basically any marketing vertical we have here. So obviously it works great in your presentations, your big events, you have speakers, maybe you want a full body shot. You also want that close up to zoom in. This could work really well in the health industry if you want multiple angles of the doctor or the patient, whoever you'd like. And on. It works great in education. You can have a close up to see your professor, your teacher very close, or you could have the full body shot to see her moving around maybe by the whiteboard or the blackboard.
So that's pretty cool. And I was really excited about that. There's the two cameras that we're using here. You can see the tally lights on the top, indicating that they are live and part of the production. And this is exactly flawlessly working exactly. I mean, we've been using this and testing this new firmware for quite some time. It has not lost a subject yet. I can confidently say that. It really has.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I think it's these small little
see how
features.
proud we are.
Yeah, that like really make it grow. And
Actually, I really can't wait to show the framing because the framing is just as impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is framing
Wanna
next?
Try it out.
I mean, framing is pretty much next. We talked about the track now feature. I would like to show that real quick.
Okay.
Now, the Track Now feature, what that's going to do is allow you to zoom into anyone on screen, and we're going to do John this time, and just simply start tracking them. So if there's only one person on camera, what you would do is you don't even need a bounding box. You would just hit auto tracking and hit apply. And it just is going to track John because he's the only person on camera. Boom. Now I'm going to zoom it out just a hair because that's pretty close. But there you go. So that's really nice because you can just be zoomed into somebody and you know you want to track them and you just have it set to track now and boom, it will track them.
We've gotten questions about headroom.
Yes. So headroom is something I would like to see some improvement on from our engineers, and that's something we should write down. And our engineers are watching this show.
Is that what exactly do you mean, Tess? Is that
Just
adjusting headroom?
The ability to adjust the headroom on the tracking space.
I think what I'll say is I think they've made some significant progress on the headroom. With this release the headroom's going to be a lot less because you just saw, I mean, it wasn't egregious.
Yeah.
But there are no headroom adjustments in this firmware today.
I think the dynamic zoom option, though, is your best bet because you can adjust the zoom. You can get it to the exact distance that you would like, and you won't be locked in on that specific zoom type you want.
Yeah, like if we look at you can just stay seated, John, but I've got this camera on you now. I've got dynamic zoom on, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little tighter when Mike cuts to that. And we'll just take a peek at it because we should be able to. Okay, here we go. So when dynamic zoom is on, I'm able to zoom in even while auto tracking is enabled. You see that? So auto tracking is on, John. If you just kind of just wiggle a little bit.
Yeah, I'll get up again. Yeah.
Here we go. Well, it is what it is. I was just making your point that yes, the dynamic zoom is the best option for controlling headroom at this time. Okay, cool. All right. So now we're going to turn auto tracking off. And by the way, when I turn auto tracking off, the camera is just going to stay where it was. It doesn't go back to any predefined location. It just stays wherever its last location was, which is also an improvement to the way that the firmware was acting before. And now it is time for auto framing. Now, if you look here, we've changed this. Instead of auto tracking, this is now called automation because we have two options, one of them being auto framing. And this is a cool one. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to zoom it out a hair though, so that I think the best way to show this is to have it zoomed out first, because basically what it does is zoom in on everyone.
It keeps everyone in the frame. Yep.
Is your wireless microphone on?
Not yet.
All right. Might want that on. And we'll go ahead and turn on auto framing. And what this is going to do is try its best to frame all of us as best it can. Now, it didn't see me, so it's just framing you two currently. So I'll come into the scene.
And perfect example is a dance studio, for instance. You have a room full of a bunch of men and women. You want to have them all constantly be in one frame, one shot. This is the perfect example of that. So if I were to get up, Tess, you got the only mic now.
All right. If he gets up, you're going to see that it's going to widen to fit him in the frame. And if we all go down here and I go over here, it's going to, oh, it just found them. Don't forget about me. There we go.
There we go.
So now it has all three of us in frame. And as we space out, it will frame us again, making sure that all of us are staying in that frame. As John was saying, this is perfect for a stage performance where you have multiple performers that you'd like to get in frame. It's also good for dance studio, like he mentioned. What is one of the other ones that we said? Dance studio. Education's another good one. Meeting spaces is a big one too. If you have a bunch of people or 3 people sitting around a table and a 4th one joins, it would then add that person into the frame. So really cool to be able to show this off.
The only major limit is the width, the field of view of the camera.
Mhm.
Like it can only go out so far.
So your limitation is the field of view of the camera, if you're wondering what that is. All right, let's have a seat back down.
I'm gonna come sit with you guys just so they can see how.
Yeah, come sit back down so we can see it recenter here. And now we are all in frame.
It's a cool feature.
Oh, James says that's really amazing.
Looks like we're a part of a sitcom group now.
It's a cool feature. I mean, it really, really works well. The farther away the camera is from the subjects, the better it will work because the more it will be able to zoom out.
Mhm.
And, an amazing statistic for our cameras is that the PTZOptics Move 4K 30X can track someone up to 300 feet away.
Wow.
And I think the 20X might be 250 and the 12X is 200. I might be a little off on
Okay.
that, but it's on our website. So the farther away you are, can you use dynamic zoom with auto framing?
I don't know if we tested that.
Well, I think I have it on right now. And the answer is actually no.
That's just with Zoom.
Well, actually, let me try. Nope. Yeah, that won't work. Oh my gosh. It works a little bit, but it kind of fights you. It's like, no, I don't want to do
This is just supposed
that.
to be with Zoom. What are you doing?
So basically the answer is no. You can kind of control. It wants to take over the zoom. What I'm seeing is exactly what I expected a year ago when I purchased the Move 4K. So I want to be completely honest about, some of these features is what I was expecting when the Move 4K came out as well. The Move 4K was really bleeding edge, cutting edge auto tracking technology that we hope that you've been able to benefit from for a full year. And just know that the Move SE and the Move 4K, these are brand new to the market. And our engineers are dedicated to continually releasing new firmware and building on this platform. We're not going to release a new model next year that's going to replace the Move 4K. You have the latest and greatest camera in the industry and a team of engineers who are working on improving this product. So what I quite frankly feel very confident in saying is that the building blocks that you're seeing right here are going to be foundational and let us go so much further. If I could only show you some of the things that I've seen with computer vision and the things that are coming for this platform, they had to do some foundational blocks that just took a long time. But the building that we're going to do on top of that over the course of the next 5 years is going to be really fun.
Pan tilt limits in this question here from Isaac.
Would work great for my use case. Is this on the current firmware? So there's definitely pan tilt limits that work on these cameras. Currently, one of the easiest ways to set up pan tilt limits is with the CMP, which is a free software that we have, the PTZOptics CMP. Pan tilt limits are already available.
Thank you, John.
So I don't know if pan tilt limits can be set with the web UI or if they need to be set up with the CMP. But I'm happy to show that in this live stream if that's something that everyone wants to see. So we have just showed a lot of stuff, but we're not done yet.
We're not done yet.
We got more. We got a lot more. And the next thing we're going to show is preset tours. This is an interesting one for a lot of scenarios. What a preset tour does is it allows you to set up a preset. So I've got a preset for preset 7. So I already set all this up just to make it easy. Preset 7 on John. Preset 8 on Tess. And preset 9 on me. And this is somewhat of a normal scenario where you've got 3 or 4 presets and maybe it's during the pre-show, maybe it's more for like action and energy during a production.
Sure.
And what it gives you the ability to do is set a time interval. So how much time you'd like the camera to spend between each preset. You can select as many presets as you want. You can even say 7 through 9 and 12 and 20. I'm not going to do that because you can do that by just putting a comma in between the numbers, but I'm just going to have 7 through 9 here. And then you can have the speed between the presets. So John has requested that we set this to the max.
Yeah, let's test it to the max.
And we'll
Some
go
stress
ahead.
testing on this puppy.
So this is truly like a shiny moment on automation for our cameras. So it allows, this is how I imagine you can use this for a rock show, for instance. If you want to constantly switch between every performer, which we were kind of mimicking and making fun of, but basically this could be something that you just have on for a camera. You can switch to it whenever you'd like, but it creates a very fast, fun, dynamic view of changing and moving to different points across your frame. So imagine this at a rock show and you have one on the drummer, the bass, the guitarist, the lead singer, and it could even be for the pre-show. Say if they're just, want to have setup shots for a big crowd and they want to just show the audience before the band comes out, you could just have this set up and just let it roll. Or you could just have it going in the background for an input whenever you need it.
So Mike, why don't we cut to the output of this real quick? And what I'm going to do is I am going to I'm going to go ahead and change the preset tour to another slower output.
Thank you. I was getting dizzy.
Because it is, you can see how fast it's going there. I need to slow this baby down. So I'm going to slow it down by going to turning that off temporarily. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on.
And as much as you can make these crazy fast movements, you can do slow, smooth pans and, look across whatever you want to look across. I love the idea of just keep running in the background. And maybe you don't see the feed, but you can switch to it whenever you like,
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to do a much slower movement. So 4 seconds on each of us. And look at how nice and slow the movements are in between. So wanted to do that because this would provide a much more interesting shot for like a slow kind of like pan around a concert hall.
Sure.
Or something of that nature. So just wanted to give a couple different examples of this preset tour being used. Okay. Now we've got more. Let's turn that preset
next?
tour off.
Look at our
I'm going
handy
to dive
list
into
here.
privacy mode. And that's perfect
right.
for your sensitive environments when you would just want to kill the camera feed, turn the camera around, instantly shut it off. And that is what we are calling the privacy mode.
If
for
someone goes crazy,
knock it off,
just
So a
privacy
perfect
on.
way to kind of utilize this would be in the healthcare industry, right?
Oh,
you
for
have
sure.
a PTZ camera up in the top. You have a patient coming in. Maybe they need to undress or something that's too sensitive. Turn it on to privacy mode. Boom. Knock the camera off, right?
You'll notice 3 little buttons here. You've got off and on. You've got privacy mode and you've got reboot. Now, reboot's always good every once in a while if you've applied a new firmware or something like that. And we will show you how to find the new firmware with the find firmware button in the UI. But what we're going to show is this privacy mode button. What I'm going to do is I kind of want Mike to cut to the camera. There we go. And then I'm going to click this button. And the camera is going to turn around and
hide
show
its face.
that privacy mode has been enabled. You get a little pop-up on the OSD menu, on the screen that says privacy mode enabled. And you know that it's been set up because it changes colors here. And then the cool thing is that the camera's not really off. So watch how quickly it turns right back on. So boom, it's back on. It's ready to go. So if you are in a healthcare environment or a situation where, it needs to be private, it needs to go right back to on, the camera's not really off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pointed backwards, no video feed, totally private for when you need that.
So instead of booting it down, waiting for the camera to boot up, waiting a minute or two like we had to previously, instantly put it in privacy mode and you're secure, you're ready to go.
Yeah, and that is available via our documentation as well. So if you are a developer, and John, I don't know if we mentioned the giveaway in the live show. I think you kind of did at the end of the podcast, but anyone working with our HTTP commands, we've got a competition. Whoever can create the coolest app or system with the HTTP commands can win a free Move SE.
So any tool that you want to build around our new G3 API, you have 2 months until March 27th. And in the links below in the description, you can find more on that Gleam giveaway. We're going to give away a Move SE, like Paul mentioned.
Now, on the question of does privacy mode kill audio too, it sure does.
Thank you, Jonathan.
I didn't know that, so thank you, John.
I know. I was thinking, does it?
I appreciate it. Everybody give a like to the live stream for John. Because he's here. Our engineers are here. They are listening. This is a good chance to ask your questions. What do you want to see? Did this firmware check a lot of boxes for you? My guess is yes, because we've still got more. We've still got more features coming. We've still got new stuff to show you. So don't worry. There's more coming. All right. Now, I will say that we have actually shown some of the coolest stuff already, but there is more. Now, one of the new things is called FreeD. And we're going to take a moment to talk about FreeD. You can enable FreeD. And John actually put together a little presentation on FreeD that I'm going to bring up here. And why don't you, John, you made this presentation.
Yeah, I'll switch seats with you.
Tell us a little bit about it. You want to switch seats? Okay.
Yeah, I'll switch seats with you. I can control it.
Taking the lead.
Feeling confident, feeling good. Already kind of presented this once before. Hello, everybody. This is weird being in Paul's seat. So I want to go over FreeD and how our Move 4K now has FreeD protocol. So you might be asking, what is that? How do I use that? Why is that important to me at all? Well, that's a great question. It might not be useful for a lot of people, but for those who are looking for a more advanced setup to really get a lot out of their green screen usage, wants to look into the future, maybe you want to integrate AR into your virtual or your real environment. So let's talk a little bit about FreeD and how, it can really make your camera shine and feel futuristic, I'll say. So FreeD is a very simple protocol used to exchange camera tracking data. So it was actually originally made by BBC R&D, and it's now supported by a wide range of softwares, like Unreal Engine is probably one of the most specific and kind of general use cases that you see used with FreeD. And Unreal Engine is a game engine that a lot of people use for a lot of things outside of the gaming industry now. It's even used in the film industry for creating green screen backgrounds and things like that. So here's a little table of contents of what we're going to go over and into a little bit about what FreeD is. So I'm not going to go too deep because I don't want to bore everybody out there, but essentially what FreeD does is take your video data, your information from 8 different axes. So if you think like your Y, your up and down, your X and your Z axis, all of that information is taken and gathered and brought into FreeD, and it's using all of that to create almost a virtual environment. And that's one of the ways that you can use FreeD. There's a lot of different ways you can use it. So I want to go a little bit further to integrations. Won't go over each individual ones. These are a bunch of different softwares and products that use FreeD that you can now use with your Move 4K camera. I will move further to virtual sets is one of the most commonly used things, large grand sets that are made with Unreal Engine, in this case for Epic Games. And then some more general use cases, like I mentioned. So obviously we have the augmented reality in broadcasting. You want to think like sports, integrating big, live graphics, scoreboards, could be even 3D graphics as well. Large virtual sets, like I mentioned, or the backdrops of film and TV. And you also have things like concerts and events. So this can go through every different market that you would like to
John,
create
can I
content
throw
for.
an idea in with this one?
Yeah, sure.
So here's an idea. A lot of this stuff is pretty advanced, but here's something that I think we will see probably this year in our own live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So with augmented reality, what I think we might see is, let's say there is a sign behind Tess.
Sure.
It's not really here in the studio. It's virtual.
Yeah.
But if Mike pans and tilts, it actually looks like it's physically there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a church and you want to show the lyrics of the song, perhaps you show it in the virtually on top of or inside of the scene.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is a great point. You could even create a virtual set of a church. Say you're a small church and you want to dream big, right? You want to show off a church that's much grander and larger than your small chapel. You can do that with a virtual set. You can make it look grand and massive with 3D. So I'm glad Paul brought those options and those use cases, because I want to show how we can actually use this in real life. So I brought up a little YouTube clip here that's showing how you can integrate 3D with your PTZOptics Move 4K camera. So a little bit of background here. So what you're seeing is a green screen used with this little dummy. On one side, you're seeing the green screen. On the other, you're seeing what 3D can do. It's creating this 3D environment. And as you see, he's panning and zooming, even dropping the camera on a crane, and it's creating this 3D environment that feels real behind him. It fully feels 3D. It fully feels as if we're moving deeper into the environment as he zooms. So obviously, this is a very rough test. He's not creating a real background, but this is the kind of cool features that you'll get out of 3D with the Move 4K now. You're able to integrate it with really cool softwares like Disrupt AR, which is helping him create this really great demonstration. I have another really cool demonstration mentioning AR. Like Paul mentioned, you can use augmented reality, which is creating 3D objects in your real world. These are fake digitally created AR objects. So this team is also using a software and hardware called Class X that allows them to integrate full-on 3D objects into a virtual environment. So they're using a PTZ camera to tilt and move around the environment. And there is the Class X logo. And they are the company that develops this. So here's something like Paul mentioned. You could have a news show, huge 3D, big, in your environment, looks very real. And we're at the tippy iceberg of this technology. Virtual sets have been around for 5+ years, but we're getting to much better rendering, a lot more realistic in terms of its 3D look and feel. And it's only going to get better from there. We're going to continue to advance and grow. And here's the big advantage, right? So you may say my camera already has that, but is your camera an $8,000 camera? Is it almost $10,000? The Move 4K starts at $1,800, right? So what we're seeing is 3D offered with a camera that is a lot more affordable and a lot easier to obtain than these $8,000-$10,000 cameras. And you can achieve these really cool special effects at a much lower cost. So obviously, we're going to stand out above a lot of the rest of the competition here because of that price. And because we're offering these tools, we're always going to be open with our support team and here with Tess and Paul and open and talk about these things. So basically, look into 3D. It's awesome. It's a really great tool that you can use for AR, VR, and it now is supported with our Move 4K once our new firmware comes out and gives you that 3D awesome protocol. So check it out. Thanks, Paul, for letting me take over your seat
job,
here.
John.
I
Very
appreciate
succinct and good.
Sales
Thank
might
y'all.
steal you after this.
All right. So that's a big one. I'm actually really impressed, John, because that was really well done. And I think you took my notes because there's still one more in here. Thank you for that back. There's still one left, and which is a brand
Last
new
but not
feature called PTZ Speed Sync, which makes, if you have a Super Joy or a PT Joy G4, it makes the speed movements even smoother and integrates them even better than before. You guys have to see this. It's really incredible. So we've got the Super Joy here, and I just want to show just how smooth it is now. So much smoother than before. Very, very clean and easy. And what it does as well is it puts more control into the joystick. So it's a deeper integration with the joystick and the cameras.
Mhm.
So John actually noticed that it's just a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Going back and forth, but also the PTZ preset speeds from the joystick now will take over and they will be used for all the presets that you use. So it's a big improvement for integration between the Move 4K and either the SuperJoy or the PTZOy G4. So this is a question. Does auto tracking turn off when I manually control the camera? That would be a nice feature. That would be a nice feature. You know what would be a nice feature too, which I just would really like to test. So let's try something here. Thank you. We love hanging out with you guys and trying new things and doing stuff. Let's really quickly turn auto tracking on with dynamic zoom on, okay? And let's see if I can control the dynamic zoom with the SuperJoy.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because that sort of answers your question.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
Automated, no, you can't just automatically have it turn off, but you can manually or have a preset and turn off auto tracking. What Paul's going to show you now is dynamic zoom, so you can control.
Oh,
the
you
zoom
can.
while also having auto.
So
tracking.
auto tracking is currently on. I'm going to turn the multi-target select on as well. Now for that to kick, okay, so now I can see my targets. So I'm going to select John because I think it's already on Tess. Boom. So now we see auto tracking is on. With dynamic zoom on, I can control the zoom of my auto tracking with the SuperJoy while tracking is happening. So that is kind of interesting because let's say I want a really close tracking shot of you during a talk show because I want to have a little camera movement. Like if you're going left and right a little bit, I want something like just move a little left and right if you could. Yeah. So I want a little bit of left and right movement. Look at that. So like, I want a little bit of movement, but then I know you're about to stand up or something. I grab my SuperJoy and I zoom out a little and then I kind of can tweak it, right? Okay, well, I want it to be a little closer, but auto tracking is enabled right now, right? So you do have some control of auto tracking with the SuperJoy. And I think this is part of that PTZ Speed Sync integration that they have, that tight integration between the joystick controllers and the cameras. Now, if I wanted to manually pan or tilt, no, nothing's going to happen because it's in auto tracking mode. Oh, wait. Look at that. It is doing something.
But in terms of automation, it's not going to automatically turn it off on and on.
It actually right now what it was doing is allowing me to select between you and Tess, and I just selected Tess by using this.
With the joystick, yep. So you'll be able to uniquely select your tracking target by using your joystick or in the UI interface where you can select and see the boundary boxes in the UI.
Very interesting. So there's still a couple, there might be time for some more features, but they are trying to roll this out. Now we did a poll, by the way, in our user group, because one of the questions with our organization right now is, do we wait for the 12X, 20X, and 30X firmware to all be ready, or to release them all at once so everyone gets it at the same time, or do we release them one at a time? And Tess, I don't know if you have did you get a feel for the poll there?
I will pull it up.
Okay.
I'm chatting right now.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll pull that up. We did a poll where you can give your feedback to that poll in our Facebook user group and on I think YouTube.
Yeah.
As well.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew in the chat and make note of this because we've been talking about the firmware for so long without mentioning it again. This firmware is coming soon, so you can't currently get this, but it is coming soon and it is still technically under development. So if there's any little kinks that we're still working out, it's coming soon.
Yes.
Paul, do you want to show them how to find the firmware when it does come out? This is just a sneak peek, but when it does come out and you are curious how to update your camera, Paul's going to show us how you can do that.
Yeah, let's do that now. So in your camera, you will see that they've done some interesting nesting features to get things kind of a little bit more organized. When we go down to system settings, there is and I'm going to zoom into this to make this easier to see. There is a firmware check button. When you click that button, it will let you know if you have the latest firmware. If you have the latest firmware and you're all up to date, then you're good. The firmware that we showed is not publicly available yet. So it will be soon, but it is not quite yet. And when you click that, it may say, hey, you've got new firmware, you can download it, upload it, download it from the cloud, upload it to your camera, and then click apply, and you will have the latest firmware. So that's what you will do to get the firmware.
We got a request to see the focus options.
The focus options. Okay. That's totally fine. We can do that. So the focus options are in the image area here. There is a focus tab. Let me see if I can get a little closer in on this. And we have a couple different modes. Now, in the top right, you'll notice snap focus. So snap focus, immediately you click it and it will automatically focus. Then you can, if you need to, you can change the focus or just hit snap to snap it back. So the snap focus is a great little feature.
That is a great tool.
Get it back to if you somehow, even during auto tracking, you can use these.
Yeah. So if now you have the close-up auto tracking, you want to instantly focus on someone who's close up to you, boom, snap focus.
It's beautiful. Now, in the focus tab, we have auto versus manual. And then we have some zones here. So we can choose a zone, and basically you can define where the autofocus calculates focus in the image. So you can choose the front of the image, which would be the foreground, the top of the image, the middle, or the bottom. So the front is a good selection, except when something might be, like if I were to be in this scene right now and I chose front, that would actually be the table in front of Tess, the thing closest to the foreground. So that really wouldn't be the appropriate zone for this situation, because Tess is what we want to be in focus. She's in the center, but she's not in the front, right?
So very important when you're setting auto tracking as well. If you have a long, far away shot, you definitely don't want to have the foreground focusing, because if you're, moving past pews or a lot of people in a concert venue, you don't want to focus on a random person in the crowd.
Yep. Now, the other thing we have here is autofocus sensitivity. So this determines the speed and accuracy of the camera's autofocus system by adapting to changes in the subject's distance. We have it set to normal right now. There is a focus lock option. So if you have it in and you're like, this is perfect, and if someone walks in front of this, I don't want it to be changed, you can lock it. And then you can also do a focus limit. Now, the focus limit is interesting. This will define a minimum and maximum range that the focus will work in. So you could say, hey, the furthest, so you could say, like it basically allows the autofocus to operate within a specific range, which is nice. So instead of saying, hey, autofocus might grab someone far away or someone close, you say only people walking in this lane from a distance from the camera, minimum and maximum. And you can set those here. And INF is for infinity.
Okay.
So you could be like, infinity from, like the stage that I'm working with is 10 meters away or 30 feet. From 30 feet to infinity, I want autofocus to work, but nobody closer to the camera.
And that might be a perfect tool for your auto tracking, to know exactly the distance of the stage or lecture or whatever it may be.
So I don't use this that often, and I bet most of our customers don't either, because it's just so easy to just leave autofocus on auto. But this is definitely a great tool if you are working, because a lot of our customers, their cameras are mounted to the wall.
Yeah.
And they are focusing on something that's the same distance always. So this is a really good tool. I'm glad that someone brought that up, and that's a really good tool to know about. So
Great.
cool.
Thank you for sharing that.
Great. All right. Well, we have a moment for Q&A, but that is basically now there are other things with the firmware that we're just not going to go into right now, because they're smaller, subtler things that the customers have asked for.
Sure.
Thank you everyone for your feedback, because this wouldn't be possible without you. We tried to cover the big ones. It's great.
Yeah.
And I wrote down some ideas. Someone said, hey, I want a way to get some more headroom.
Yeah.
Or less headroom.
Less headroom.
Depending, some control over the headroom.
Yeah.
So we wrote that one down.
It might wrap it up for us then.
Well, I'll say before we go, we have a giveaway, little mini contest here. So our new firmware for the 4K, Move 4K is not currently out yet, but you can access our new API and that is our G3 API. If you go to ptzoptics.com/developer-portal, you'll find our new API, and that API is now 10 times more commands as you previously had with our previous G2 API. And now, as Mike's showing us, you can go here and learn more about all of the commands.
Nice
So
job, Mike.
we're doing a little competition here. For the next 2 months, you have the opportunity to take our API commands, do whatever you like with them. You can make your own software that does one thing and has one button. It could be as simple or complex as you like. All you can do is go to our giveaway in the description here, and we'll continue to talk about this over the next 2 months. But enter in your tool. Take as long as you need. You have until March 27th to submit your entries, and we are so excited to see what you come up with our new API. So we look forward to that.
Wonderful. I'll go ahead and share that in the chat as well.
Yep. You got 2 full months to work on something.
Yeah, we
So,
wanted to give you enough
no
time
rush.
to really
but
focus.
2 people have already entered.
Wow.
So I'm guessing 2
Wow.
people already have projects of some kind.
Something that they're
Um,
using and
Yeah.
This is
iterating
not
on
going to
their
be a
own.
random drawing either, I don't think. This is going to be us
Judged.
choosing.
Yes.
Which one we think is the
so
coolest.
we can kind of go into more detail the closer we get and how
Maybe
we will
could do
judge
like a
this.
voting system where we
Yeah.
present a few.
Ooh,
We
that
haven't
would be
really locked it
cool.
down because it isn't really about how amazing or cool it is. We should maybe set a criteria of how we vote, or we just open it up to the public. We pick like our favorite 3
Mhm.
and then say, which tool would you like to use yourself, or do you think is most
Yeah.
inspired? And we can go from there.
Great.
Will the firmware update extend to the G2 cameras? I don't believe we're developing on those cameras any further.
Yes. This is not going to apply to the G2 cameras as far as we know. But by the way, I do want to mention that the CMP software is available for the G2 cameras, and we have not completely, we are still working on things for the G2. Something really awesome is coming for the G2 soon, in just a couple months. So if you have G2 cameras, stay tuned, subscribe, make sure you're getting our emails because something really big is coming for you guys very soon in the next couple months. One thing I didn't get a chance to mention as well is that we had an amazing group of people who are working on the beta for the CMP. And pretty soon we are going to open up the applications for new beta testers. So again, if you could just subscribe to the channel, stay in touch with us. We will be making that available. If you are interested in beta testing new things in the future, we are going to be opening that up to everyone. And you're going to get free access to really new game-changing features in the next couple months. And if you've been watching, you know how important it is for us to be taking your feedback. So if you're part of the beta, you get significant input on our product development. And we really appreciate everybody out there who was part of the CMP beta because you guys really helped us there. And we appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much for watching today. Our next live show at the end of the month, February 28th, is going to be Worship Summit Live, where we bring experts from the worship streaming and audiovisual production industry to share their experiences and knowledge with you. So I will share the the registration for that in the chat so you guys can join us. It is a free online event. And otherwise, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. All
Thanks,
right.
everyone. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.